Andrew, welcome to the CCS Plus show, which is not really a show. It's more just me Zooming with people and inviting people to come along.
Hey, it's 2020 and we're in the middle of a pandemic, dude. It's a show. Everything's a show.
Anything's a show. If you say it's a show,
Yeah.
I had a piece of paper last time that had like a logo on it, but I gave up on that. So, let's start with a quick little intro for you, for anyone who doesn't know Andrew, if you guys know him or not. Andrew was pro skater for, I don't know how many years, 7 years.
Probably like 3 or 4, somewhere around there.
Give yourself 5. Let's say Andrew was pro for 5 years. And he rode for World, and then since after he decided he wasn't going to be pro anymore, he got a job at Santa Cruz running the brand Santa Cruz. And that's what he's been doing for the last 6 years now, 5? How many years is that?
6, yeah.
6
It'll be
years.
7 in May, which is crazy.
That is crazy. So let's, I want to ask you about how you first came, how you go pro, like what, or, you know, how did that process work for you? That was in like around the 2010 kind of era. That was a whole decade ago at this point. Skating was much different than it is now. You know, what was your kind of like a quick version of how you kind of came up through the ranks and did that?
So it's actually, I mean, it's rad because at the time I had moved to Arizona from Pennsylvania. You and I met right around then. I was getting some boards from Consolidated, and basically we had some conversation at some point about how I was like, dude, I love World Industries. I always loved it. And you were like, oh, dude, my friend RP's actually working over there now. And you were like, I could hit him up for you. And I was like, yeah, do it. And World was in a really whack moment at the time, and it never fully recovered by any means.
I know you said that like it's like killing it now.
Yeah, no, it never like fully recovered, and but that's okay because it was a perfect place for a whack me to go. Honestly, like I started getting boards from him, and then I was always kind of like an advocate for myself and trying to do more. And RP and Charlie Thomas, they just totally took care of me and they trusted me, and then they eventually turned me pro. And you know, to be totally honest, like I was a very mediocre pro and I probably shouldn't have been there, but I was thankful to do it, and it was really fun to travel with friends and stuff like that. And then when that all ended actually quite abruptly, and when that ended, it was like, oh well, what's next? And so you had a board brand at the time, and we had some fun, and we put out one board, and then that
one behind you.
That one on the wall. That's like my favorite board that I ever had. And then and then basically I saw the job for Santa Cruz online, and I was like, hey, maybe it could work. And I hoodwinked him, and here I am 6 years later.
So let me rewind a little, because I do want to address something that you said, because you're a super self-aware. You were a self-aware skater. You're just a self-aware person, which is so important. Like, what about like for you, World was kind of like get in where you fit in almost, where you're like, I've been trying to get on these other brands and I'm clearly not the right skater for like these, like, you know, I'm not going to be this A star in skating, but you kind of saw that there was a path for you to still have a board, still travel, still skate. Like, what was that like? Like, kind of like, you know, I don't know, understanding where you fit in that scheme.
So I had, I used to like jump down rails and stuff like that when I was younger. And I felt like really solid when I was probably 18, 19. I tore my ACL. After that happened, I kind of like went through it a little bit, started drinking a bunch, got a little thicker, just couldn't skate the same way. And then basically, I moved out to Arizona to go to school. And I was going for secondary ed English so I could be a high school English teacher. And when I did that, I was skating, enjoying it, but I still had those like pipe dreams of like, man, it'd be so cool to become a pro skater or whatever. And when you brought up the World thing, I was like, man, my buddy Rob Washburn, who works at Bones, he took care of me back then, and he had a very real conversation with me that was like, honestly, dude, I think you should go to college. And I was pissed. Like, I was super bummed.
Because you were still trying to do it at that time when he told you that.
Yeah. I was probably 19, and he was like, yeah, dude, people aren't like jumping to hook you up. And I was like, wow. But that changed my life. And if it wasn't for that conversation, I don't think I would have signed up. I mean, I literally that day, like, I signed up for college.
I like
I
how
was like,
you were angry, but you like angrily signed up for college.
I did, because I was like, damn it, he's probably right. And it was because I trusted him,
Yeah.
Um, and so that single conversation, I called him years later and was like, dude, I owe you a huge thank you. Um, and so basically when the college thing came up and the world stuff came up, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's whack, but I don't care. This is may sound a little bit lame, but I've always kind of looked at it like, hey, sometimes you do things because what's your end goal? And my end goal was I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to make some money, potentially, but I just wanted to skateboard. And that was an avenue to do it. And I knew that I wasn't going to get on any of the cool brands. And I was like, all right, well, I could either go teach high school English, or I could ride for, and I started riding for the shoes, and the shoes were awful at the time.
The
I mean, you remember
potatoes.
how bad they were, like, dude, they were like plastic, you know what I mean? It was like,
And
I
they
felt
got
like I was skating with this glass cup on my foot.
they got so fat and you sweat so much. I remember they were like sweaty potatoes. Like at the end of a session, like the shoe starts out in this shape, and then by the end, it's
They're
just like
gross.
that and like a sponge. But
But that being said, it worked. And you know what? It was the difference between having to work a job and getting to go skating with my friends. And then, yeah, I mean, what it did was it prepared me for this part of my life, as the brand manager behind the desk. Now I am responsible for making a lot of these calls. Some of them are super difficult. Team riders who are going to get on, team riders who will turn pro, who won't turn pro, having to have like, real conversations about life. And our goal with Santa Cruz, not to get too ahead, is we want to leave skaters better on the other side, because there's kind of been a thing with skateboarding where people, you see the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 17-year-old that comes into a company and they're just, full of life and excited. And then on the other side, they get out and you're like, they probably need to go to rehab or something.
yeah,
And it's really sad. And our goal is we want to give people the skills and we want to give them the opportunities to learn, so that when the time does come, we've not only helped them cross the finish line by saying, hey, this is how long you have. Let's do X, Y, Z in the process, so that when the career is over, we high five at the end and you feel like you accomplished what you wanted, versus like, I got a phone call 5 days before December and it was like, hey, so they're cutting the program. And I was like, wait, what? No more money at all? And they were like,
with World, you mean? That was how
no.
they just
Yeah.
like
And
wow.
so for that, it was like, oh, sick, I have a mortgage. Like,
Yeah.
what do I do?
Yeah.
I mean, you're laughing because you're like, oh man, I know about paying rent and mortgages and all that stuff. But it's like, man, that was really a tough pill to swallow. And I basically was like, I never want to do that to somebody ever, unless they royally screw up. I never want to do that,
Yeah,
So
you wanna. I think that's important. I think like and we'll fast forward a little. Like so World ended. You're not a pro anymore, and you were like, oh, there's this job available, and you just applied for the job, went through the channels, and you hadn't done that kind of work before, but something about it just clicked, and they brought you in, and Santa Cruz was like, not in a. Wouldn't say it was in a bad place by any means, but it wasn't in the place that it is now. 6 years later, I think it was.
yeah,
It was like an in between phase, and yeah, but with those kind of ideas, I feel like you've done a really good job at growing the brand with the right people, right? Because I think that, like you said, having that experience is like, oh shit, I don't want that to happen, to anyone
yeah,
that I employ or any skaters that we're bringing up, and I think that's so important. I was gonna ask, when you first got the job, what going from being a skater, and I mean, you've had lots of jobs, obviously. I know you've worked your whole life and you went to school, but actually doing like in the office, like 9 to 5, like switching into that mode. Because I know for myself, going from shooting photos to being like a brand director was like a jarring experience for the first year. It's just very different. And
yeah,
how did you kind of deal with that? Like, I know you might have been more excited than most about it. You're an excited person, so you're able to get excited
yeah.
about anything. But how was that like for you?
Um, I was really excited about the opportunity. I'm really goal oriented. I'm really driven. So I really like trying new things. Um, and for me, it was really weird. And I mean, backing up just a smidge, when skating ended, that was hard, like mentally. And I didn't even have like a cool long career or anything like that. Like nobody missed me, but mentally that was difficult.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine what it's going to be like for a lot of the skaters. I have some friends that deal with that, and it's not easy. So for me, I was like, man, this is such a great opportunity. And the cool thing about Santa Cruz at the time was they had been doing so much licensing stuff. They'd been doing Star Wars. They were like about to dive into Marvel. They had a whole bunch of stuff lined up. And the brand was in this place where it was kind of just like, there was just opportunity, you know? And again, we're kind of going full circle. You ended up coming in and being the team manager, and you were there for about 6 months. But, and I've said this to a handful of people, when you came in, it kind of helped me to really get comfortable, because when I came into NHS, I came in excited with a lot of energy, with a lot of kind of like ideas and ideas that people weren't used to. Just because they have been around for so long, they were kind of like, ah. And, you know, my boss, Jeff Kendall, who was pro for Santa Cruz for a super long time, believed in me and trusted me. And, but, you know, I definitely wasn't necessarily making a ton of friends in the beginning. And so it was really rad when you came in to kind of like be someone I could talk to that was like, no, this is where we should go.
Yeah. No, that was a fun rebuilding kind of early on in that. Tell me a little bit about what were some of the things that you did. Like, what were some of the things that maybe didn't win you friends, or that were against the grain of how things worked there, or some ideas you had that maybe it was hard to implement 6 years ago, but now would be a little more commonplace? Because the world's changed a lot in the last 6 years, especially with all the digital activation of everything and social media. So, like, what were some of the hardest things you had to do when you first got in there?
I think the hardest thing is letting team riders go always. And I learned lessons throughout that process. I'm glad I'm glad I learned, and I'm thankful that people came and took a chance. Like, we put Tom Asta on. That to me was a really big shift as far as team riders were concerned. Tom took a chance, came over and trusted it. And then honestly, we had a super good time. And we just kind of kept cranking. And then once we had Tom in there, it was easier to get some of these younger riders. And we kind of started from the ground up. The goal was, hey, we want to build skaters' careers from being on flow, turning AM, and then going from there. We started doing video stuff. We just kind of changed up the whole vibe. Santa Cruz at that point was very much like transition skating heavy. It was kind of like saints and sinners, like kind of creature light. And we kind of were like, that's not the way it should be, because Santa Cruz has been around for so long. It's had so many different iterations, like street skating, transition skating. It's been tech skating. Like, it had the European phase. It had all these special parts of Santa Cruz. And it was like, we need to kind of honor the whole brand and not just try to be one thing. And so that's been really, really instrumental as far as like what we've wanted to do. Is we wanted to have a really diverse group of skaters, because skateboarding, the way that I envision it and the people that I work with envision it, is skateboarding is diverse and it's rad and it should be for everybody. So we want to have that on our brand.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You guys are that's what it looks like from the outside looking in. Another thing I noticed about what you do at Santa Cruz, and I was lucky enough, I got to come and sit in on a team meeting a couple years ago, and I really thought it was cool how you sat down with the team and you explained to them why they're being asked to do certain things. Because I think in skateboarding with pros and stuff, there's a lot of like, hey, you need to post on social media. And people are like, why? That's dumb. And then they have someone above them being like, I don't know, you just have to do it. And that's the end. And then they don't post because they're like, that's dumb. You like sat the team down and said, hey, let me show you an example of when someone tagged this shop, then this shop ordered more of their boards. Or when someone met this distributor requested that they come to Australia, and they wouldn't have been on that trip because they were, just flow at the time, or things like that. I think that you explaining that stuff to the riders really gets them on board with like all these things that you need them to be doing as a brand. And you don't see that at a lot of companies. And I think that's like a really smart way to go about it. So I think, and I guess the no question in that was more, I'm just kissing your ass now. But I think
with that one, just to make a quick comment, it's kind of like with that, it's all boats rise, and with our role, we want to empower the riders to be in a position where they can get other sponsors and they have the tools to go, this is how much money I think I'm worth, but this is why I think I'm worth this much money. And then it's like crystal clear, because I mean, now it's like every single person is their own brand, right? So it's like you can look at your Instagram analytics and be like, hey guys, just a heads up, I've been putting 3 Santa Cruz posts up this week. I've gotten 500,000 reach. Here's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think you guys need to pay me more. And I was like, great, thank you. Like, I love that, because not only does that help with us, that helps with the other sponsors, but that puts them in a position where when the time comes and they need to get a new job, they're like, oh, I know analytics, I understand, value. I can do XYZ based upon that, So
it's like showing them
we just want exactly,
amazing.
and we want them to understand it, because we are authentic in what we're doing. There's nothing from us that we're like, hiding from, if that makes sense. We're like, no, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. And our goal is, I have this pipe dream of, I would love all of our riders to be able to make enough money from us over the span of the time that they're on Santa Cruz to be able to put a down payment on a house.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my dream. Like, I want every single rider to be like, with the money that I made off of incentives, off of board royalties, off of my, monthly salary, I want them to be able to put money down on a house. And that's harder in California, but.
For sure. I mean, and you're talking about like be able to live off it and save enough to then at the end of their career have like
yes.
Oh, I was just going to say, which is to point out, which is interesting, and maybe a lot of people don't know this or don't know the level of how pros get paid, that like for the majority of pro skate careers, if you can get to travel and skate for a living for, let's say, 10 years, that's a great length of career, right? Like, and then if you can come out of it with like an asset, like a house, like you're like, oh, I own this house. Like that's kind of like better than a lot of people leave this industry. Like there's a lot of people that just get into it and party away all the money. They don't pay taxes. You've heard that story a lot. So I think that while it may not sound like a crazy amount, it's like that is like a pretty rad career to have. I think if you can walk away and have something like that you earn from that, because you're going to end up doing another job eventually. And I think skaters, when they're young, they don't think that. You don't think that far forward. You're like, this will last forever. Yeah. And you're like, guys, there's a window on this,
Nothing lasts forever, kid. The important thing too is that from an age standpoint, we're asking these skaters, I'm like real sentimental. That, Matt, but just everybody in here, I'm like a super sentimental human being, and I really genuinely care about people. And when someone goes, hey, I'm going to skate for you, it's more than just being like, hey, sick, I'll take the boards that you're going to give me for free. It's them saying like, hey, I'm going to give you this part of my life, and saying, hey, I'm going to put the hard work and the energy and the focus into promoting this thing that I believe in. And to me, that's really special. And so that's why I'm like, we want to take care of people that come into our camp. And if they're ready to go, then they got to go. It's totally fine. We understand. But we want it to be this thing where it's like, oh yeah, we really do care, because we're asking people to say, hey, come skate for us, come travel the world. College, maybe not right now, maybe down the line. But if you're not taken care of, if you're not learning, if you're not making enough money, you're basically going to end up in a position, depending on how long you're pro, where your career is now maybe 6 years behind everybody else. Like the people that are your age, you're like, oh man, I'm 35 years old. And it's like, well, all these other people have already gotten 3 promotions at their job, and you're literally just entering. And so that's why we want to educate our skaters, so that it's like, hopefully they can get a job at least at a skateboarding company, like social media, whatever.
Yeah. It's important, I think. And firsthand, like knowing, just even not being pro, but being around it and understanding things from both perspectives. Cause when you're pro, or as when I was shooting photos, like you're around skaters all the time, sponsored skaters, pro skaters, you're in that mentality, you're on that side of the business. And then to get it on the other side and like work with people in sales and work with production and like all this stuff that you kind of, and you see it, the younger kids, the pros, they take for granted. I took it for granted. You probably took it for granted at one point. Like once you understand how those all work together to make a company successful, you're like, oh, okay. And then you can really do your job well, because you kind of can't learn. You can learn the second half by diving in, like getting into an office and spending the first year or two you can learn sales, you can learn production, you really can't learn that, like how to interact with pros and with skaters and with be in the van and things like that. That's something that really you have to put the years in to just do, like so it's important, I think, to, again, you're grooming these skaters to hopefully then work in this industry, and then they'll be way better at these jobs. And then as a result, hopefully they'll treat the next wave of skaters right as well, because they understand
Absolutely.
from both sides.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
hugely important. Well, sick. And things are going well. Santa Cruz. I see Santa Cruz everywhere, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, we're super fortunate. We, again, Jeff Kendall, he's the president of NHS, but he was the VP, and he's been my boss since I came in the door. He has always encouraged my wild ideas. And I definitely want to try stuff. I want to get excited about things. And he has always been like, yep, go for it. Because I'll go in with a plan, we'll try it, and then we'll relook at it and go, that worked, that didn't work, whatever, at least we learned. So overall, I mean, we couldn't have a better team right now. We're super fortunate on that end. We've got, it always comes down to your people. And there are great skaters in the world, without a doubt, that aren't necessarily great people. And our goal has been always get good people that you can get in the van, they can get along, they can have fun, they'll make memories, that care, that are passionate. But also you have to get skate rats, because if they don't love skating and want to skate all the time, it's just going to fade away over time. And then they're just going to get further and further. And then skateboarding becomes this obligation versus this thing that they love.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, then it's so much a job, and it really does become that. But when you get the people that can't stop skateboarding, it's like, it's a little different, I think Ashad is like always the perfect example of the ultimate skate rat. He just cannot stop skating. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's so rare to see someone like Ashad who's at the top of everything, right? He's like the peak of his career, the peak of skateboarding talent, and he does not want to do anything else. Like, it's like if you see him at a skate park, he cannot stop, and you're like, but even like, there's skater, all the kids you guys have are like that. They get out of the van if you're like, hey, wait 20 minutes to skate. Like, that's not going to happen. They're all going to like start attacking because they just want to like.
Dude, Henry Gartland and Jake Wooten, it's like, it's nonstop. It's so cool.
Jake is on that skate rat tip too, where every time you see him at a skate park, he's soaked. Like head to toe.
Oh, what's up, y'all? So good to see you, man. Oh, great. Give me a hug. Oh, no, we can't hug. It's COVID. Okay. He's just the sweetest human being on the planet.
And he's just always skating so hard, and you're like, I literally saw you get here 5 minutes ago. How are you soaking wet? And he's like, 52 frontside ollies over your head. But that is a really good point. You have to really like sniff out whether the kids you're putting on love skating and are going to want to continue to skate. Because there are situations where, some people do it and are good at it, but they don't love it. And the second they get to a point where they're comfortable, they're going to do it less, and that happens a lot. You see a lot of when you see a pro like turn pro, they killed it for 2 video parts, and then all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, I just get to phone it in now. That's like not everyone does that. There are pros that are gonna want to continue to skate, film, and just constantly be on their boards. So it's important to think about
the career thing is like this ebb and flow. Which is really interesting. And you have to find people that are intrinsically motivated, like where they personally are like, no, I want to skate. I have to get this clip. I need to do this part. I need to do X, Y, Z. And they're not like, well, I'll do that if you pay me, or, you have to find people that genuinely want to be there and want to be doing it.
And then you get to pay.
I mean, the cool thing, truthfully, the cool thing is like you have, and I can say this because I love both skaters. Kevin Braun, as far as like being a skater was concerned, like he was coming up, and he turned pro, and he just really turned pro. Like he not only like, he turned pro, he's gotten better and better and better and better and better. And it's awesome. Now, when Blake Johnson turned pro, he was kind of like in this awesome rhythm, and Blake kind of, he turned pro, and he kind of just like wavered here and there just a little bit. And then now he's on fire. Like he's crushing it. And it's so rad because, motivation strikes in different ways. Sometimes like for Blake, he lived in Venice for his whole life. He moved to Spain. He's crushing it. It's like sometimes that change of scenery, that new crew, all that stuff makes a huge difference, you know?
Well, I think, yeah, because I think at the end of the day, almost every pro skater has that skate rat like inside of them, but sometimes they
Mhm.
lose it or whatever. So for like someone like Blake, maybe he lost it for a minute, and then now he's
Life gets in the way sometimes, and that's
yeah,
the bottom line. And we try to be really understanding of that. Like, you can't go a million miles an hour all the time.
yeah.
Sometimes you chill out a little, you know?
No, and then especially with skating, where it's like, dude, the modern kind of world requires you to do and put out so much now, and it's easy
Mhm.
to forget. I've noticed that it's easy to forget with pros that what you're asking them to do sometimes is insane. Is like the most high level performance of anything, right? And you're like, I realize that with like a skater like Jaws is a good example where I'm like, oh yeah, like do you just want to ollie this 18 stair real quick? Like you find yourself saying shit like that like when you take a step back and listen to what you're saying, you're like, I just asked him to ollie an 18 real quick. Like just as if it was
Yeah.
like a kickflip on flat because he has it like that. And I've asked that
Yeah.
and he's ollied the 18 real quick. And so that gets you used to that kind of shit. And then like when you really take a step back though and think about what like, hey Mario, can you do another kickflip crook down this 7 rail? And he can. And then you're just like, that's unreal that you could just call
Yeah.
someone out to do a trick like that and they could just do it. So it is important to remind yourself that like you're asking a lot even when you're asking a little, sometimes.
And I mean, you know it. The thing that keeps you kind of grounded on that end is you have to be skating. And I won't lie, like I took some time off of skating and kind of like was trying to do all this exercise crap. And I still love doing it, super fun. But when I was not skating as much, it sort of changed my relationship and my connection to skating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very important to maintain that because you have to have that like, and there's a lot of people in skating that don't skate like hardly ever anymore, you
Yeah.
know, that work in skate jobs. And it's really easy to have unrealistic expectations at that point, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and truthfully, in our jobs, everything's about managing expectations, making sure people are very clear on what's expected of them and, you know, trying your best to help them make that happen.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I've had that same realization before where like there's been days where I go skate and I get my ass kicked trying a trick for like 2 hours. And afterwards I always like, I'm like, I need to do this. Like, cause I skate a lot, but I don't always try really hard to learn a new trick or something. Half the time when I skate, I do like my kick flips and my crooked grinds and nose slides because it's fun and I can get a session in and I'm good to go. But like those days when I try a hard trick and work at it really hard or get frustrated or eat shit or whatever, it is such a good reminder that you're like, oh, you need to do that. You need to beat yourself up to remember what they're going through. And then also look at what you were doing. Like I'm dying trying to like, front crook like a little 10-inch ledge. And then you're just like, it really puts you into perspective. And you're like, I was able to feel this way trying that. Imagine how this person feels trying something way gnarlier. And it really does help to have that perspective of understanding and like, or filming a trick, dude. Like I rarely will like, hey, I'm going to get a filmer and go film a trick. But the few times in recent years that I've done it, oh, it's such a harsh reminder that like, that is the most stressful, shitty feeling sometimes because this person who's there, just because they're your friend taking time and like, you're just like, oh my God. And even when like, that's their job, you still feel bad, because you don't want to like make
Yeah.
them wait and they have to watch you become a psychopath. It's very interesting dance. And when you've
Just
done the
lose your
dance,
mind. Yeah.
yeah, when you've done it, you understand. I think that's so important to like when you watch a skater going through it trying a trick and they're freaking out. Like I had a good realization watching Alexis Sablone recently on a trip skate, and she gets so like into it, right? And she has like madness and stress, but like it's only because she just wants to do it so bad, and I like really respect it. Like at this point, it used to scare me, but now I'm like, dude, that's amazing that she wants to do something that bad. She wants it perfect, and
Totally.
it's like, I have a lot of respect for that now. And that's part of growing. You get less afraid of people yelling and stuff, maybe.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, that was good work talk, but I think we should dive into some catalogs while we still have some time here so we can let everyone ask some questions after. So, we picked out a handful of catalogs from my stash, which is I have about 40 or 50 old CCS catalogs, and we got these guys here. We're gonna start all the way back at, I think this is maybe 1991. This is when it was called Skatorama by Cheapskates. And then we have a winter something. This one's got Santa Cruz Snowboard on the cover, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to go into 96 with John the Man Reeves cover. Then we got 97 with was it Swank on the cover? Damn, those are the days. And then we got this cover is amazing. We'll keep that a secret. But I'm going to screen share with y'all, and we're going to hopefully this works. So if you guys, I'm going to share the screen here, and then I'm going to ask you how it looks. And if someone could throw me a thumbs up and let me know it looks good. This is the first time we've done this because we have all these scanned, right? Like we had an intern at one point scan all our, let's see what we got. Oh yeah, that looks all right. We can see it.
Huge new inventory.
Oh, huge new inventory, complete specials, insane prices. So yeah, this is a California Cheapskate Skatorama 91, I believe. And we just can scroll through this thing and see
So rad.
Dude, look at that. Look at the wheel. Like, am I able to like touch things while I'm screen sharing? I don't know how this works. Oh, annotate? What does that mean? I can go, oh, what? You guys.
Yeah, I think if you grab the little thing, you could circle stuff.
Like I can, oh, here we go. Let's check it. So this wheel right here.
Dude, look at that thing. That's a bearing cover.
Yeah, it's so thin. Oh
also,
my God.
$3.95 each. It's not even sold in sets of 4. It's like $3.95 each. We got.
Yeah, how are you gonna like? They used to price things by one, so you could like order a wheel or something. I like that this catalog already had a circled board in it. Whoever owned this catalog really wanted the Mike Chu New School Slick. Look at these the Alien Workshop graphics on the top right. Those ones are so sick. Like the bird smoking, it's so ridiculous. I was gonna see if
that's wild looking.
Any boards on did you skate in this era, or is this before your time, Andrew?
No. So I started around 96.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
This catalog for me is more of just like history books.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 35, so it's like this is super cool, but this was before my time.
Yeah, same here. That's how when I look at these, but it is fun. You see in the bottom right here, there's a Chet Thomas Santa Cruz board. I never knew Chet Thomas was on Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
How many? Do you have a number?
Yep.
How many skaters have been on the Santa Cruz team since its inception? That would be a crazy number to find out.
Yeah, it is so many skaters. Many skaters.
Like,
it's wild.
I wonder if it's like 1,000. Like that would be a cool. You should have like an intern run those numbers.
What's cool is there's so this is 91.
Yeah.
We've got slicks in here, like Chet Thomas slick.
Yeah.
I love that. Blowing my mind right now. So the Chet Thomas slicks, like we offer slicks now in 2020. So it's crazy that a technology went away for a while and is now back and is actually, potentially relevant.
Yeah, people use it, which is, it's like one of those things where you're kind of like, it seemed like a gimmick because technically you don't need it, but it does work. And when you test it, like wear test video where it's like night and day with a slick, and it's like, I think that's a cool place Santa Cruz has continued to push forward in technology, but not just technology for bullshit's sake, how people are like new and improved formulas. Yeah. Like, I mean, again, I don't want to kiss too much butt, but the VX decks are like insane to me. Like the fact that my fat ass can do a nollie front board on a VX deck and not break it in half is like, that's real. Like that's like, it works.
Well, that's I mean, seriously, that's the coolest thing about working for a skateboard company is I'm a huge product nerd. I love talking about skate product. I love trying skate product. Not to get too salesman-y, but we have product videos on our YouTube now that we're doing every single week. And it's because we want to talk about why we like the product. And there's no BS involved. Like, we're not in the business of selling snake oil. We want to sell you the best skateboarding product we possibly can. And if it sucks, we want to know why so that we can fix it,
That's a good pitch right there.
True.
It reminds me of in Tommy Boy, Ray Zielinski, the auto parts king.
Oh, yeah.
I sell cars for working Americans because that's who I am and that's who I care about. That's
exactly.
You, skateboarders.
It's true. I'm Ray Zielinski. Sick.
Andrew Cannon, the skateboarding king. Got some. It's crazy how the truck selection hasn't changed up much, right? Like obviously Gullwing and Tracker, but like Indy, Crux, Venture, like Thunder, like all still in the catalog today. A little bit more expensive, but not much.
That's so wild.
Isn't it crazy that boards? Look at decks on this page.
I was going to throw that out. $54.95. Yeah, Grind Kings. That was my first trucks.
This is 30 years ago, and board prices are still exactly the same. Like, it's the only thing in the world that hasn't, like, inflation doesn't exist when it comes to a skateboard.
And honestly, I think that's terrible. I think it should be more expensive, not because I want to take more people's money, but because, skate shops and stuff like that, that's how people make more money, you know? So
No, it hurts. I mean, if a shop buys a board for, because the production cost has gone up, so brands have to pay more to get good quality boards, and then, it just cuts the margins, but that's a whole other discussion to have. That's like a state of the skate discussion.
Dude, I don't think we need to spend an insane amount of time on the wheels, but please look at the millimeters. 38.5 millimeter, 44 millimeter.
Also, like,
dude, I'm riding 56s right now. Like, I got tires. People would have looked at me in the 90s and been like, dude, you need to get out of here.
Yeah, you would have been a joke, dude. You'd have been like a ditch skater from Albuquerque or something. They would have been like laughed you out of the plaza. Yeah, and also 0.5s. I think 0.5s when you get into wheel millimeters is such an interesting. Like, I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but I can't imagine being like, oh yeah, do you have the 41s? Oh no, we have the 41.5s, and being like, I can't hack it. Sorry. Like, that's so insane. I like the
oh man,
video section, the pads. There in some of these old oh, here we're getting into snow.
Yeah.
They got one page. Those Airwalk boots are crazy. Oh, a t-shirt. This is a good way to present t-shirts. They just show you the square with the logo. And I remember we did one of these videos where Chris Cole was looking at old catalogs, and he saw a layout like this, and he goes, oh, see, this is genius because you know what a t-shirt looks like. And I was like, yeah, you don't need to really, but you can't tell how big the graphic is and stuff, so I get it. But it's so
cool.
Something about old, it's so hard because you can't tell if it was actually, if certain things look better or if you were just a kid and you're seeing it through kid lenses, and it's fun though. The indie bean.
Dude, I gotta just say, man, the workshop stuff is just so cool. Like,
yeah.
And I have vivid memories of workshop. Like, I was in 5th grade and I was going to like baseball practice, and this dude down the street, his brother was a skater, and he had an Alien Workshop hat. And I was like, what is Alien Workshop? And I was just like, that is the coolest name I've ever heard in my life.
That's so funny because I loved old Alien, but as a kid, I was like, that's the dumbest name I've ever heard. I hate, because it reminded me of like PacSun, like Alien shirts or something. And I'm like, Alien Workshop. But I just didn't. I was not on the level. I guess I wasn't cool enough. I was like a Zero kid. And I was like, no, Zero, there's a cool name. Like, it's all the same shit. Look how big some of these fucking pants were, dude. Like the Acme triple stitch, like with the boat out.
Jeez.
Very good. And it's so funny.
Wow. It's funny to see kids kind of running that again.
Oh yeah, dude. The big pants are like. See some.
Shout out Aiden.
Yeah, Aiden in his size 40. I was joking about how whenever we shoot CCS pants stuff with the riders, it's like hard to get a true idea of how the pants fit sometimes because I'll be, someone like Neen, who he's like a 32 waist, but he asks for 36s because he wants them baggier. And like Chandler, who rides for us, he probably could do, a 32 and he wants 40s. And I'm always like trying to find in betweens to be like, well, maybe you should wear the ones that fit a little better.
Yeah.
No, but it looks
just styling them out.
Yeah. Check out the Mailmans.
So wild.
Super thick, top quality leather on the Mailman shoe. Simple. Yeah, but it's an interesting, like, they had a mix of non-skate shoes and skate shoes in here. Dude, look at the shape on those top left Vans. Like,
I know, they look wild.
I have a pair of vintage Vans and they are awful. Like, it's like you put them on your feet and it feels like cardboard. Like, it's the worst construction. But I mean, obviously Vans now are amazing, so I'm not talking shit. But in this era, skaters just had to make do.
Yeah, but this was 1991.
Yeah, it was a while ago. All right, so we're at the end. Look at the wheels on those completes. How silly is that?
That one's unreal.
So
that's crazy.
Call toll free. Let's see what we got next. All right, so that was that one. Maybe let's fast forward to an era that we'll skip the 92 one.
Dude, do the 96 because that one is like 96 and 97 more than any of the other ones are like. Oh my God. Yes.
So we're on this 1996 John the Man Reeves cover We posted this a while ago, and he commented it was sick. I love when we post up old catalog stuff, and the pros from the catalogs are like seeing it, and they can get hyped, and it's like fun. Glory days. JTMR.
So sick.
Let's open up. What do we got? All right, so first thing, look at Bucky Lasik with his like crazy Easter egg blonde hair.
Yes. I remember that, like, that ramp was in all those 401 videos, and it was in like the Toy Machine videos.
Yeah.
Dude, the moment I opened this PDF, I had the craziest wave of nostalgia. I was just like, oh my God, I spent so many hours looking at this catalog.
For sure.
Like, just blown away.
I feel like there's catalogs for me where like I look at them and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like every dump I took as a child for like a year, I looked at this catalog. Or like, and the shit just sits on the back of the toilet or the magazine rack, and it's just there every time, and you're just like, oh, I guess I'll look at this same CCS catalog again.
Oh yeah.
Look at that Santa Cruz
the maple
bear.
boards. Yeah, so that bear is super awesome.
I
really liked that spark plug as well.
Yeah.
Those maple boards, for some weird reason, I just loved maple. I think part of it was, and I don't even know at the time, but when Jerry Sue was on maple, like he's like always been one of my favorite skaters. So
for sure.
He definitely helped make that the case. But the workshop stuff, again, super classic. I gotta share, because this is like, actually, when I opened this, I looked down, I was like, oh my God, great day. So the board down there that it says Paul Zitzer Germobile wood, that isn't the first board I had, but the first board I had was that little germ right there.
Oh wow.
And so the rad thing is, I went to Tampa a few weeks ago and to do this like Skate Park of Tampa Amdemic announcing thing, and Paul gifted me this.
The germ.
Boom!
Shirt. Wow.
He made it for me. So he's been doing some screen printing stuff, and he made it for me. And I was like, oh my God.
That's amazing.
Super awesome.
So sick. But were you wearing that before you looked at the catalog, or did you put it on after you saw it in here?
No, I had this on today. And also, I got to just shout out, I got my CCS shorts on. So
hey, product plug.
And I didn't even realize.
There you go.
The cool thing about this is, so real quick story. When I was 11, I went to Fairman Skate Shop in Westchester. I went in to go buy my first board, and I wanted to get a Birdhouse Animals 2 board. That was the graphic I wanted, whatever. So my friend Colin Mason went in and got it before me. I went in and was like, oh, they don't have it, because I loved the colors. It was like a blue and a yellow, and it was like sky blue and yellow, and I just think those are the coolest colors. Anyway, I remember seeing a Santa Cruz board, had no idea that it was a town, didn't care. I thought it sounded really cool. And it was this green prismatic board. And I was like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. The dot logo looked really cool. It was $10 more than the Birdhouse board. And I had sold Christmas trees that winter at my grandfather's Christmas tree stand. And I only had like $145. So I couldn't afford to get that board, but I would have had a Santa Cruz for my first board, but instead I ended up with a Paul Zitzer board at Birdhouse. And now it's crazy. Like, oh, Paul's one of my super good friends, and I work for Santa Cruz. So,
yeah.
Okay.
That's it's rad how that
Life's
works
weird,
out. Like,
man. Life's weird.
That extra $10, dude, sent you down a path. Who knows? Maybe you'd have bought that board. It would have broken first day, and you would have hated Santa Cruz forever. And then when the job came out, you would have been like, "Fuck those guys! That board broke when I was 12."
I always thought those hookups graphics were insane. They were like super cool. Big shout out Ron Whaley. You got the elephant one. I got Ron Whaley right next to me. This is an OG slick from the 90s. Ron gave me, but I sat next to him at NHS for like 5 years, and I miss seeing him. So he's next to me all the time.
I love Ron. He's a good fella.
So many good boards.
Oscar Jordan, that rail is gnarly, dude. Toy Machine in that era was so sick. I mean,
amazing.
Still sick. It's one of those brands that hasn't like visually hasn't changed much, which is cool. But people still buy so many of these classic Toy Machines. I love that. That's some of those classic brands they still are like getting the love they deserve. And it's cool to see that.
Yeah.
that Toy Machine cat and the fists and stuff, like they're just always going to be cool forever.
I'll love that robot forever because I'm from
yeah.
Westchester. Bam's from Westchester. Kerry Getz is from Philadelphia. Mike Maldonado's from Westchester. So they all rode for Toy Machine. So it was like, that was the brand where I'm from. And man, I've just always loved it.
Yeah, that was, I'm sure that
Pop War was not around at that time.
What was?
Eduardo had asked the question of if Pop War was around.
Oh,
Pop War wasn't until later.
Yeah, Pop War is probably might not make it in one of these. But let's
I feel like that was like 2000 somethings. Just go like 1 or 2 more pages because it might be in the next catalog. But dude, I lost my mind when I opened it because there are these Prime decks that I have looked on the internet for pictures of for years, and I haven't been able to find them, and they're in the catalog. And I was like, oh my God, I have the PDF now. I'm so psyched.
Let's jump into 2000 because the 2000 catalog is really fun. Here, there we go. Because we're running out of time. I don't want people to be able to ask questions and stuff. How do I share this? New to technology over here, guys. All right.
Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, you're good. That's what we're here to do. So this cover, like, if like at a glance, you're kind of like, what the fuck's going on? And I'll break it down for you. That is Limp Bizkit filming the Break Stuff video, and Rob Dyrdek is doing a stink bug over them at Simi Valley at Skate Lab. And then they photoshopped CCS logos all over the ramp. Like, that's totally fake. Which is like kind of an amazing, and there's no way they like asked for permission probably to like co-opt this shit. Like they just were like, oh, we got to put Limp Bizkit on the cover, and like Fred Durst just yelling. And I think that's such a funny like cross section of pop culture and shit. Oh, and then this is the back of the catalog.
Stevie Williams, just one of the greatest of all time.
Dude, the front of the catalog, so goofy, and the back of the catalog, like one of the sickest skate photos ever.
So good.
Like, look how level. Yeah. You know what I love about this photo?
I think G shot that photo.
Blayback, actually.
Blayback shot that one.
Yeah, Blayback shot it. Because I've hit him up about it because it's such a good one. But my favorite thing about this,
amazing.
Look how level his board is, and look at the concave on it. It's like the flattest, most 1999, 2000. Like, I remember that being the shit. Like, when I was a kid, the girl team came to my local park, and they were all riding the flattest boards I'd ever seen. Like, I was probably riding an Element with, like, concave, and, like, Costin and them had these flat boards, and I just thought that's the coolest thing. It just looked cool because they made it.
So good.
But I love that, like, just that old flat concave is so sick. What do we got here? We got, there's Costin, Speak of the Devil. He wasn't even on CCS, but he was in there. Oh, man. What do we got? Oh, the completes page. Oh, we skipped it. Sorry. What do we remember the kickflip graphic? This kickflip sequence?
Yeah.
That one's did you know Sam McGuire has that tattooed on his leg?
No way.
Yeah, he has the sequence of that kickflip. I don't know who the kickflip is. I want to say maybe it's like Billy Pepper or someone, but I'm not positive.
Dude, how about A-Team? Look at how bad that graphic is. I remember when A-Team came out, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the coolest thing ever. And the graphics were awful.
They were not. The team was so good. And then once they all went to Enjoy, that's why Enjoy was, because Enjoy basically was A-Team, but with good graphics and more.
Yes.
Because I loved A-Team as a
Absolutely.
brand, but I never rode their boards because, yeah, they just didn't do anything for me. Oh, but I was going to, so here we're getting into the skateboarding is not a crime era. This is like,
yeah.
Like didn't skateboarding is not a crime spin off and become its own brand at one point, or am I wrong?
Yeah, it was like a thing. And then we just kind of like readopted it back into Santa Cruz. Because it's, it's just cool. Like there's a cool little like backpack,
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, it's rad. Above it too is
Angel Boy.
Yeah, this is like, these are iconic completes because these were always in the complete section. Angel Boy, Skateboarding is not a crime, American Monster, like the OG Team Girl. Those are the ones, and the battle is like, that's
dude. And what about the skulls? Like those zero graphics. I mean, you mentioned you're like, dude, I was a zero guy. I was a zero guy too. Like, I love that brand. I think it's so rad. That was like skateboarding to me. It was gnarly. People slamming. It was great.
And also, before you get off this page, look at that Reel graphic and think about how funny Reel has like taking a turn. Like, it's so, talk about Toy Machine being a brand that looks really the same. The boards are the same, but Real is like, that graphic is so unlike anything you'd see Real make today.
For sure.
Let's skip. Oh, look at a bunch more awful A-Team graphics. Wow.
So bad. That's when like the Birdhouse stuff was like very, very similar, but
yeah, but it was
I can't
cool.
say that I liked that. But that was like the end, Birdhouse, the end, when like you would see Heath Kirchart and he was like doing the most insane stuff on the craziest graphic.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I just like those because of the era. Like they're weird, and cartoony and shit. And just it's that thing of pure nostalgia. I think it makes you kind of like enjoy it. And Deca, when Deca came out, I had a Deca Day One complete because Day One was like a favorite for sure.
Oh yeah,
that was a big. I think
Blind Reaper.
I think it was that Day One actually. The far left one where it's like a skate photo of his, kind of like stylized in there. That was.
Oh, gotta point this one out. Bottom of page on the right page, DNA board, Jimmy Chadwick. Jimmy is our Southern California rep. He is the best dude. I love that guy. I sent him a photo. He was like, "Whoa, what's that from?" And he got all fired up. So
and Jimmy is the best guy. That is the worst graphic though.
Well, DNA had crazy graphics. I remember being like super young and calling DNA and being like, "Are you guys accepting sponsor me videos?" Because I had that Continuum video, and they were like, yeah, we're always taking videos." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I never even sent a video. I think I was too scared. I
heard Cole Matthews, who works at Thrasher, he told me he worked, because he's from San Luis Obispo, where CCS started in the late 80s, early 90s. He used to work at CCS, and part of his job was he would give trick tips over the phone. People would call in and be like, "I can't heel flip," and he would like talk them through a heel flip on the phone. That was like a service CCS offered was like phone trick tips.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Which is kind of sick. Like I wish that was still a thing. We could bring it back, I guess. Maybe like text trick tips. You like? Oh, I had that Costin, the OG Costin on the right there. That was a good. I had that.
I think I was on Flip at this point. I was like not on. I was like psyched on Flip boards.
Yeah,
and I think I might have had that Arto Sari blackout board.
Oh, I don't remember that one. I definitely had the Tom Penny Dead Sun. I had it on that rippled. Do you remember when Flip made those rippled boards, like new wave construction? I had a new wave of that graphic, I believe, and those elements. I had a lot of boards from this page. This was probably an era where I was starting to like flip my board more and like break boards, because I remember having a ton of these like from this particular era. But
so this is when Santa Cruz, when they were doing that logo, it was called the Knot, and it's funny because as a company we don't mess with that logo anymore. We just keep the classic dot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there are people that are diehard, like they have that logo tattooed on them and stuff like that, and it's so rad because I think that's one thing that's important about Santa Cruz in general is that people that have been along for the ride for a really long time, they might be like, "No, that's not Santa Cruz." But Santa Cruz has been so many different things to so many different people that it's really cool to talk to people about it. And they're like, "I started when Alex Moole was part of it," or whatever. And it's just like, dude, that's so cool.
That was my first skate photos I ever sold were web photos for Santa Cruz when I was 17. Oh shit, he's got the knot right there.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so rad.
But yeah, no, they're a big part of, and that was the Alex Mole era when Sid Melvin was Emmanuel like had just got on, like it was that was like early for me. So yeah, just me, and then I shot a bunch with Santa Cruz during the Flo and Alex era, and they had the European riders, and like just it has gone through so many different ways. You know what I want to do I'll still flip through these as we're talking, but I kind of want to go down the line and have you guys, anyone who wants to ask Andrew a question, because we're kind of getting near the end of our time. So I'll go in order here. The way my screen is set up, I don't have people's names, so I'm just gonna unmute you. I'll ask to unmute in order of who I have on the screen here.
What's up, guys?
Oh, Eduardo, that's
What's up?
You're up.
What's going on? Yeah, dude, I mean, first and foremost, this is awesome. I appreciate you guys opening the floor to everybody. And like especially like everyone else, I'm a huge fan of CCS. I bought my first Pop War board. That's why that's why I asked. I was like, oh wait,
So
is that
rad.
around time? But the main question was for the Santa Cruz Minions.
Yeah.
I'm from Miami, Florida. Zion F's is one of the little dudes that I've
Yeah.
met around with a couple of times. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to know like what the future holds for the Minion program. I guess you can say. Like I saw that you guys do the showcase, bringing them around the whole entire van, and with the whole entire crew, the Santa Cruz crew. But exactly, yeah. Like, would it be like things of that nature?
I mean, I'll tell you the straight up master plan. Like, to be totally honest with you, like my goal is, like when we kind of talked through this Minions thing, and I mean, the reason we called it the Minions is because I got kids. I call them Minions. Like, I just thought it sounded cool, and we kept kind of going back and forth on like, what should we call this? And it was just like, all of us kept referring to them as the Minions, and then finally we were like, let's just call it the Minions. It's fine, But so honestly, like the goal with that is like we want to have a legitimate path to turning pro with Santa Cruz starting at a young age. Like, there's so many skaters that kind of bounce around from sponsor to sponsor, and we legitimately were like, we want to have a thing where like Zion, great example. Zion starts getting boards from us. With social media, some of those kids have way bigger following than like some of our team riders. I mean, like the pros or whatever. It's just because, kids on social media, people are like, this is amazing. So we were like, we want to highlight these skaters because they're super important to us and we appreciate them. And so basically it was like, oh, if we have this Minions thing, we can bring them up in the ranks and then turn them AM eventually and then turn them pro. So for me, like, I think a day that like I haven't cried at work or any of that stuff, but I think a day that I'm going to do the full happy cry is like when we turn one of the Minions pro. Because to me, that's like I'm going to watch that video that we put out and see the footage of like Zion F's when he's like, 10, like getting thrown into a bush by Mario. And like, I'm just going to lose it because I'm going to be like, oh my God, this is such a good run.
I see that because it's like, even towards me, like, with the immediate family around them, I've been to Morgan's restaurant a bunch of times, like, just hanging out with them. But exactly, it's like kind of like a time capsule kind of thing.
Yes.
Where for him, it'll be something that he can remember. In its essence of everyone that was around him. Clear example with Danny Fuenzalida. Like his like one of the main people that he's been around with. And it's just exactly it just spans the spans of time towards of how you make those memories, and that's like basically what skating is. Like it's like a lot of memories, And it was one of those things that exactly. I get to see this kid like just rolling out everywhere. I know he's for sure he's gonna like reach the top of the map in skating. As time goes. So exactly.
And
That's awesome.
Not to like overly business it either, but from a branding perspective, it makes it so much more palpable for someone who wants to buy a pro board to like, maybe in 5 years, in 10 years, when it's like, oh, Zion F turns pro for Santa Cruz. Everyone's like, oh yeah, of course. A, he rips. B, we know he's like Zion in Santa Cruz, of course. It's just that branding, and then that'll put Zion or Devin or Trey or whomever into this position where they'll be able to sell more boards because everyone's like, oh, I like them. I understand where they're at. Like there's none, it just makes it really comfortable from a consumer standpoint to be able to be like, I want to buy that board, So.
And especially like with kids, like when that, I mean, especially right for now, but like with kids in that age criteria of how they can, especially the influence factor is already there, but like just like I guess you can say the mentor factor of it as well. It's like, okay, look, like this kid's doing it, you can do it too. Like it has a lot more variables to it in that sense of that. So yeah, dude, awesome.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Thanks for bringing that up, man. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, Eduardo. I'm gonna have to mute you again. I feel bad whenever I have to hit the mute button, but you move on.
Cool.
So, all right, we got Marshall next up here. I'm gonna unmute you, Marshall. All right.
Hey.
What up?
Don't worry about unmuting.
What's up, Marshall?
Muting. How's it going, man?
How are you doing?
I'm all right. It's been a long day of working from home, so kind of.
Where are you based out of?
I'm out of San Jose, actually. So Santa Cruz is right across the hill. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I guess one question I had is like, how have you thought about like the brand evolving in cases like 2020? Like you naturally evolve over like years as like interest in the sport changes or more people get interested in things and stuff like that. But what do you do in a scenario where it's just like, bam, a meteor hits and like I remember early in the pandemic, I saw like videos of them like pushing sand into like skate parks and like really like hunkering down on people not skating and stuff like that. Like what do you do? Like what are your thoughts on that?
So what we did is we pivoted. We immediately changed where we were going. So we're big proponents of YouTube stuff. We know that's kind of the platform, and sort of the space that we want to occupy is sort of this middle, as far as YouTube's concerned, we want to occupy this sort of middle ground between like, I don't know, name like ultra cool brand X over here who like maybe puts out a video, everyone hides their Instagram posts, all that, like that whole kind of kick. And then you got like the Brails and the Andy Schrocks of the world that are like a little bit more down here, and they don't have the same kind of like respect from the skateboarding industry. Nice people, like really nice people, but we want to kind of be this middle ground. Like we want to be able to do this YouTube-y stuff, and then we want to be able to, have great skateboarding as well. And so what we did was we were like, all right, well there's literally no better time to really dive into YouTube. So what we did is when it happened, I drove 10 hours back from Santa Cruz to Arizona, and I thought about it the whole time and was like, all right, came into the office and we all talked about it, and it was like, we're going to start putting out 3 videos a week on YouTube. We understand that, one of the things we love is being able to go do demos and tours and meet people and like give people that one-on-one interaction with the brand and the riders. And now that is obviously not happening, we're like, okay, well, how can we do it in another way? And so, a big part of that in-person stuff is you meet people, you go, I really like that person, I want to support that person, right? And you can do that on YouTube. You just have to take some risks to do it. And so, to be totally honest with you, what we've done is we've been very uncomfortable. We've been getting comfortable being very uncomfortable by putting out content that's behind the scenes that, we're trying to just share our riders and, why you should love them, why we love them, and so that's kind of been our big thing is like, the cool thing is skateboarding is really actually quite healthy right now. Like there's a lot of skaters. So skateboarding as a whole is in a cool spot, obviously amidst all the chaos and the unfortunate stuff that's happening. So for us, it's kind of like, we just want to keep pushing because, people are putting their attention somewhere. Did you guys watch that Social Dilemma documentary? Like, one of the big takeaways was, like your phone and all that stuff sucks you in. It's a necessary evil within business, but what you do with it makes a difference. And so there's like crazy political stuff where they're trying to rope people in and just catch their attention and make them into these like zombies. We don't want to do that. We want to go, hey, if you're going to put your attention somewhere, check this stuff out. We hope it gets you fired up to go skate. We'll be back here tomorrow with more stuff to hopefully make you go skate again. So that's kind of been our motto, is like, we want to get cool stuff out there that gets people stoked to hopefully go outside, even if it's just in your street, be safe, but be a skateboarder.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the Social Dilemma because I actually work at Netflix. So we watched it as like a group, like some coworkers of mine. like I think like a couple of weeks before it actually launched, and we immediately were like, okay, we got to start doing like phone cool downs, like turning stuff off, like all kinds of stuff. But yeah, like
Dude,
it's definitely.
I bought this little thing so that I can go running and skating and biking without my phone. And it's called the Mighty, and it's like a little Spotify. It connects to your Spotify.
Oh, that's dope.
So I can put playlists on here, and I can leave my phone in the car again. And I can leave my phone. I can not bring it with me when I go run, when I go biking, when I go skating. Like, don't talk to me right now. I'm doing this stuff, you know.
That's dope.
So
that's dope. That's a great.
I
totally
get you.
It's helpful. It's helpful for sure. Well, sweet, dude. Thanks
for the great question.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on over here. Ask to unmute. All right, you unmute. And can I ask you how to pronounce your name before I try and read it and butcher it?
It's Damaso.
Damaso. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Now I feel I should have went for it. Andrew knows this too. We both announce contests, and we have probably butchered so many people's names, and I just hate it every time. So I'd always rather ask first. But yeah. So Damaso, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm calling out. Actually, when I got the email, I went to look on. I didn't know who Andrew was, and I was like, "Oh, he went to Arizona State. I went to the University of Arizona." So I'm from Arizona.
Rad. AZ squad. All right.
So yeah, so I knew about Santa Cruz, but I didn't know they make boards. So I was, calling from Boston right now. We're still on lockdown.
Okay.
I'm in Boston College, so you see why I'm wearing a mask. So I was wondering.
I was gonna say, I was like, yo, are you at work right now or what?
Yeah, I'm at school. So I was wondering. I was like, you guys like in sunny San Diego. I'm wondering like with skateboarding, how is this pandemic affecting y'all? We can't go like wherever we go, we gotta wear a mask. And I'm looking at everybody on here. Well, I know Marshall's at home and the other guys at home, but I'm just like, how is it over like for the skateboarding community? How is this affecting y'all, your business?
So it's so from a business standpoint, things are good. So here's a quick little tangent. Everything went on lockdown. Bunch of people lost their, obviously got put on unemployment. You talk to a lot of your friends and they're like, dude, I'm actually making more money on unemployment. And you're like, whoa, really? And they're like, yeah, I kind of have some disposable income. A bunch of them are like, well, I can't go to the gym. I can't go hang out with people. I can't do anything. So what am I going to do? And it's like, I used to like skateboarding. That was cool. And so a bunch of people are like, I'm going to start skateboarding again. So between all the people that kind of like rediscovered skateboarding and all the people that were like, oh, well, I used to be on a soccer team. I used to play football. I used to hang out with human beings in person. It's like, well, now I don't do any of that. So skateboarding's cool and I can do that in my driveway. So skateboarding is doing well from that standpoint. It's healthy. I think everyone's approaching it differently, I mean, let's be real here. Like a lot of skateboarders are teenagers and they don't care. From our standpoint, as far as being a company, we have done some trips where we've gotten skaters in the van and stuff like that. And the way we do it is we try to keep it masked up when people are in tight quarters, but we're also like, hey, by going on this trip, you guys, are you being safe or are you not being safe? And it's sort of trusting one another, of like, are you out going to parties or are you going out skating, going home, sanitizing, wearing a mask when you're around people, et cetera, et cetera. So I think, I would say that I'm relatively proud of most skaters. Matt, maybe you could probably say the same, but like, a lot of skaters are taking it pretty seriously, which has been great. I think especially like around our age, like in that 30s range, but yeah, it's just been interesting,
Yeah, I think to add on to what you said, I feel like there's been an influx of people, getting back into skating. And I think also there's maybe like a lot of parents like that are in their 30s now that have kids that are maybe like anywhere from 5 to 8. And they saw this time as a time to get them a skateboard as well, and kind of be like, okay, again, like you said, here's an activity. All their sports are shut down. They can't hang out with friends. All right, I'll buy a board. At CCS, we've seen, a dad will buy a board and buy a board for their kid, like buy 2 new completes at once. And then they've been skating in the, in the front yard or whatever together. So it's definitely like, you feel bad saying like, oh no, skateboarding industry is doing all right, at a time when so many people are losing so much. But like, that's just the reality. I heard from, I got a bicycle recently from a bike company. They said bikes are another thing, like that are just flying off the shelf. They can't keep bikes in stock. So it's that outdoor single kind of like, thing that you do yourself.
Single activity. Other thing is I was watching, like I work in the lab, the chemistry lab of BC, and we watched The Social Dilemma. And we just, when we're in here, we're not on our phones. Like we're just all paranoid. we don't believe
Yeah.
it. We don't believe. And then I think it was the other day I had it in my pocket. I was talking to some of the researchers, and I had mentioned something about Mike and Ike's. I didn't pull out my phone. I pulled out my phone, and on the screen, there's this advertisement of Mike and Ike's. And we're all like, whoa, the social dilemma is real. Like, they're listening to us. Like, we're all paranoid. We didn't believe it. I didn't believe it until that happened. I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. That social dilemma's got people here going crazy.
I mean, it's so real. I wish I could say anything else, but like, Big Brother is watching.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man, it's a lot. It's too much sometimes, but
Yeah.
that shit.
But the thing is, like, most of it, people are trying to make money off of you, but like, you know, as long as you're not doing something wild, you're all right. You know?
Well, cool. Thank you, Damaso, for popping in. Appreciate it. All right, let's go check and see if Jesse. I don't see Jesse there. Jesse, did you leave us? Do you have a question?
What up? Sorry about that. As a Santa Cruz skater, what would have been another team you would have loved to be on?
I'm so sorry. My headphones messed up. What was the question?
What would have been another team you would have loved to be a part of besides Santa Cruz?
I mean, from a working perspective, I don't know. You know, so when I first was getting the job at Santa Cruz, I ended up in this really fortunate we'll just call it a fortunate position. I've known Jamie Thomas for a long time now. He's always been a really great dude. When I was applying for this job at Santa Cruz, I was already in the interview process, and he randomly hit me up. I had almost worked for him like 5 years prior or something like that. And he hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to be the Zero and Fallen brand manager? And actually, I was at Matt's house out on his porch when he messaged me. And I remember being like, oh my God. And he was like, I'm like offering you the job if you want to do it. And so to be totally honest with you, like, it would be something along those lines, you know, like it would probably be like Zero. I mean, I love Jamie. I think he's great. Or it would be like you know, I don't want to like throw out any names because I don't want to like, you know, say anything negative about any brands, but it might be like a shoe brand that could use some help or anything like that. Like that maybe he's been around for a while and could use like just a fresh perspective on it. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, you know?
That means
Yeah. I do like your input on with Jamie Thomas and Zero, though. That was one of the first skateboarders and skateboard brands that I got into back when I was a kid.
Oh, he's great. I mean, Matt knows him as well. Like he is one of the most driven human beings I've ever met in my life. And, you know, people have had like different opinions on him based off of that. But Matt can confirm I'm a really driven person too. And people might think I'm crazy because I'm just like really intense. He's also really intense. And I personally love that in people because that's how a lot of people will like get things done. And I kind of latch onto that, but I can totally understand how that can be overwhelming for people.
Yeah. All right. That's awesome, man.
Ripping.
Sweet. Well, thanks for popping in, Jesse.
I appreciate it, man. Sorry it took me so long. I was just working, you know.
Nah, no worries,
sure.
But I
man.
appreciate y'all letting me ask a question and allowing me to be in part of the chat.
Yeah,
Oh.
man, of course. Thanks for joining at work, man.
Where are you at right now? Like, where are you living?
Oh, I'm in Kingsport, Tennessee, working at Pizza Hut right now.
All right. Very rad. Our guy, Jake Wooten, is back in Gallatin right now. He's visiting the family. So
That's awesome.
Tennessee represent.
Awesome, man. That is great. I'm gonna get back in here to work, man. Thank you guys for your time so much.
I like the size of these things. They've been really nice. I like when it's small and intimate and people can actually have a conversation. I think it makes it so much more of a cooler experience. So it's been really good. But that being said, I think we're out of time. We went over our time limit by a lot, which means it was good. But Andrew, thank you so much for stopping by.
Absolutely.
And
Thanks for having me.
or not stopping by, whatever you for staying at home. And thank you guys for popping in. Thank you guys for asking questions. We'll be hitting you up regularly. We're going to try and do one of these things once a week, once every other week with different people, these CCS Plus shows. So stay up on the email, and we'll send out more invites. Sweet. Thanks, Andrew. See you later.
Thanks, gang. Take care.